coming back to what we are here to discuss, or perhaps apa ni interact, memang I will take you to through toxicity testing lah, yeah. So this one I will give focus on in vivo punya toxicity testing. So I hope you know what that means, ya. In vivo, in vitro ni you have to know, ya. So kalau kita belajar dalam toxicology, basically I think right from the very beginning we are always interested to know the type of toxicants, the level of toxicants that we are exposed to. So maknanya we have to do some form of measurement, yeah. So measurement ni, of course, I think you know, can be done quantitatively, qualitatively, and you are now all aware, kan, yeah? And you have done this, or perhaps been demoed lah, ya, because of COVID ni, yeah. So kiranya ada demonstration and you know what it means by bioassays, tahu kan, ya? Bioassays kiranya macam testing on animal studies, ya. So kita buat test on biological systems, ya. And then of course kalau yang physical chemical methods ni, I think you know lah, the use of especially equipment like apa tu, spectrometer ke, chromatography ke, HPLC, semua tu lah, ya. And then binding assays ni usually referring to yang macam immuno punya testing methods. Okay, so the general principle you can see here. So this is our goal, our objective in terms of measurement of the toxicants. So maknanya setiap kali tu you have to like do some sort of sampling lah. Let's say you want to actually measure toxicant dalam darah, so meaning you kena sample darah lah. Okay, so and then from there will be like testing methods for extraction, and then hopefully we can isolate the specific toxicant, and then of course measure, yeah, and then analyze the data, yeah. So itu memang the generalized punya schema, yeah, to measure toxicants. Okay, so kalau saya tak clear, you just tanya dekat chat so that I can actually respond quickly, yeah. Okay, so I've already put also here according to the general scheme just now, yeah, the strategy here, and then what you can do in terms of the extraction, yeah. So take note here, yeah, dalam sesuatu sample tu, along with the toxicants, there will be other things, yeah. So meaning to actually accurately lah, yeah, do some approximation of the toxicant, kita kena macam get rid juga lah of the other interfering substances, yeah. So adalah dia punya mechanism in the protocol, in the procedures, in the testing methods, yeah. And of course, I think you also realize, yeah, that we can extract our toxicant, our substance of interest, yeah, yang kita nak investigate tu using solvents, yeah. And isolation, very important, because definitely in any sort of matrix or samples there will be impurities, yeah. And then usually kita akan bandingkan dengan spike samples lah, so that kita macam tahulah, ya, level toxicant yang kita measure tu. Kalau macam we have another substance yang memang kita spike dengan the actual toxicant tu, so kita boleh make comparisons lah, ya. So meaning it's actually us comparing with standards. Okay, so to recover the toxicants, so usually kalau macam below 80% tu, recovery rate tu is not so good, so you have to do your testing again, yeah. So yang bagus will be like 90 over, yeah, so 95 ke, okay. So that will actually tell you that your methods are reliable and your results are valid ke, okay. So boleh, ya. Any questions up till here? Can you all follow?
Yes.
Boleh ya? Okay, alright. Okay, kalau
Yes.
tak clear, tell me ya. Alright, so and the other things lah ya. So to identify what sort of toxicants, yeah, so you can do a lot of other things, yeah. So kalau immunoassays ni, I think you know we can use like apa tu impure samples yang sedikit pun because it's very sensitive kan ya, very specific ya. So that allows us to measure lah ya the specific toxicants, and of course you will have to like analyze the data later, yeah, and then kena kira-kira lah sama ada kena buat semula ke. Let's say your results are not reliable, ya, nampak macam tak betul ke, ya. So that's why it's important that you also refer your results to standards, yeah. So perhaps you read around this aspect lah, ya. Why we also use standards to compare kita punya results tu. Standards ni meaning kita ada lagi satu group of samples yang memang kita dah masukkan dengan known amount of the actual toxicant lah, ya. So meaning things that we suspect tu, ya. So I hope you can actually go and read around this area, and then the next time I see you, perhaps kalau ada issues and you macam tak understand, we can speak about this again, yeah. Okay, so make sure you do that, yeah. Okay, so the rest I think you can baca lah, yeah, because it's just defining the types of testing methods that we can use. So the first one will be looking at biosystems, yeah. So apa yang kita boleh guna, I think you know, ya, whole multicellular organism. Contoh, anyone? Yeah, whole multicellular organism. Contoh dia apa? Kalau toxican ni mesti kita guna yes, correct. Mestilah kita guna mice kan, ya? Kita tak guna manusia, ya. So we are measuring toxicants, we are doing safety and toxicity punya testing, ya. So kalau whole ni, I think straight away you can give examples like the rodents that we use in the labs, yeah. So I think you know also we can also isolate organs or tissues or even culture cells, yeah, and microbes, yeah. So to actually find out lah, yeah, measure the toxicants in there, yeah. So either append juga or attach juga the types of organisms and animals commonly used, yeah. So ikan, yeah, ikan, vertebrates, yeah. Udang-udang ni pun, I tak pernah buat eksperimen dengan udang ni. Perhaps could be very interesting, yeah. So you can use a lot of other things lah, yeah. So have a look through, yeah. Okay. So usually what we do is kita buat macam apa tu dose response, ya. So we see positive or negative responses, yeah. So that is what we actually look at or measure. And then I think you know about LD50 values kan, ya. So they are very valuable, okay, walaupun looking at half of the group of animals mati ke tidak after exposure to the toxicant, yeah. So and you have to actually consider lah, yeah, to actually use instead of whole animals, ada tak possibility of using cell culture, yeah. So can ada some consideration lah, yeah. So animal ethics now are very strict, yeah. So choose your bioassay wisely, okay. But some people they like to use assays, yeah, microbiological assays, yeah. But information yang kita dapat from situ perhaps sama ada microbe mati atau tak mati, yeah. So we don't know, yeah. So it really depends on what you seek out to investigate. So meaning, kalau you buat research in using bioassays, you really have to look at your objectives, okay. So that saya pesan lah ya. Okay, so this is a type of responses that we can get. Can you see ya? So I think here lah ya. So let's see kalau B ni kita kena letakkan the extracted sample tu baru kita dapat response, something like that ya. Tapi some other bioessays will show different types of responses as well. Okay, so I think you can make sense of that lah ya. Okay, so anything to ask me about bioessays ni? Boleh faham ke, brothers and sisters? Should be alright ya. Okay. So nanti you read around the area lah ya. Okay, so okay, thank you. So yang selainnya, yang physical ni memang you kena go through yourself lah ya. So ini memang jenis-jenis yang guna equipment, techniques ya. So these are some of the spectroscopic techniques under physical punya assays ya. So are you all familiar with this? I know macam ialah dah 2 tahun kita duduk rumah, okay? But you have a lot of resources online ya. So kalau nak tahu about anything pun, you can always go to YouTube ke apa ke. So I will want you to be resourceful. Okay, so jangan tertinggal dalam keadaan pandemik ni. Jangan tertinggal and make it like alasan tak belajar semua ni. Yeah? So itu pesan saya. I mean you are in higher institutions kan ya. So that should be your motivation ya. You should forever upgrade ya. And rajin lah ya. So to learn about these things ya. So mostly kalau dah university level ni sebenarnya lecturers, we don't want to be teaching you like budak sekolah so I mendengar anak-anak I PDPR ni, cara cikgu kat sekolah mengajar is very different so kalau dah higher level ni memang we are actually hoping that students you take on the responsibility of learning so itu saya pesan lah okay, so can I ask you to actually familiarize yourself with, let's say, equipment yang spectrophotometer ni? Boleh ya, brothers, sisters? Boleh chat with me also, ya? So, hopefully you cari resources, belajar, buat notes, ya? Okay, so I ada juga append some information on the techniques that we have under spectroscopy, yeah? And then of course the last one will be yang macam immunoassays hormone or drug receptor protein punya interactions so ini is basically yang macam guna kit tahu kan apa yang saya cakap ni, kit macam lab kit lah mahal ke tidak lab kit ni, laboratory kit yang kita boleh purchase dan kita masukkan sampel kita dan kita terus dapat reading. What do you all think? Anyone want to respond? Ada ke semua ni?
Saya tak sure lah Prof, tapi dia macam saya pernah tengok memang ada orang buat macam dia nak tahu dia etnik apa, dia pun buat kat rumah je, lepas tu dia pun hantar and then berapa bulan result tu akan keluar.
Oh, ini hantar ke macam outsource, hantar ke company kan?
Tapi dia macam dia punya tu dia kena postcard.
Betul sebab sometimes company dia offer services macam ni. So kiranya dekat company diorang akan ada equipment tu, they have that kits. The kits are not actually very cheap lah. Macam beribu juga. Macam hari tu kan saya ada buat eksperimen measure DNA fragmentation. So I was using COMET assays so bila nak purchase tu, nak beli tu beribu-ribu juga. Macam at that time I think 10 tahun dulu macam RM2,500 untuk test 50 sampel saja. So you know lah bila kita nak test sampel ni, kita mana nak we will take macam a few samples and then we average itu penting tu untuk macam reliability of the results kan ya. So maknanya 50 samples tu pun macam tak cukup ya. So depending on the animals that I use, the different groupings, satu group berapa animal, okay. So that is like what we in the science facing lah ya. So especially kalau you nak buat kerja-kerja toxicology ni. So boleh ya? Okay, so do you get me just now, students? Boleh ya? So later, kalau you become researchers pun, yeah. So if you apply for grants, you get grants, yeah. So perhaps if you are measuring toxicants, you akan buat budget lah, ya. Perhaps you identify ada kits, laboratory kits yang akan senangkan kerja you, yeah. But you will have to buy those kits lah, ya. And then buat kerja tu dekat lab ke. But of course, nowadays there is that convenience of kita outsource pada company and hantar. But the downside there is that kalau you tak buat sendiri in the lab, you will not get the hands-on experience lah, yeah. So that is the downside lah. Itu memang cara cepat lah untuk outsource tu. Siapa yang tanya tadi, sister? Is it you? Siapa? Nadia ke?
Bukan.
Siapa tadi?
Aiman rasanya.
Oh, Aiman. Okay, Aiman. Okay. Alright. Okay, so boleh faham ya, Aiman?
Boleh.
Okay, and the others also lah ya. Okay, so itu something that it's very important to us lah ya, in biomed ya. So some of the similar types of testing ni masuk under binding assays lah ya. So memang it can give you rapid response ya, and also they are highly sensitive ya. Kadang-kadang guna antibody semua tu, so you know lah ya, antibody, and then how it can attract the ligands, the toxicants, yeah. So it will give you like sensitive and specific results, yeah. So quite reliable. Cuma mungkin the kits are increasingly makin mahal, yeah. So that is talking about immunoassays lah, yeah. So I think you can go through all this lah, yeah. Okay, so boleh ya, I continue ya. Alright, so let's see. Nanti you go through this also, the measurement of toxicity. So of course we talked about this ya, masa mula-mula dulu. Maknanya when we are looking at toxicity and hazard, yeah. So if you are a toxicologist kan ya, so you measure these toxicants yeah, under safety and toxicity testing. Yeah, so you also know that macam substance out there, yeah. Kadang-kadang macam let's say you have a bottle of hydrochloric acid on your lab bench. Dia ada toxicity kan, tapi kalau dia tak macam tumpah ke apa ke, it will not affect you, yeah. So if there's no hazard, then there will be no like toxicity effects. Okay, so that I think I have also mentioned previously, yeah. And then, of course, when we actually do toxicity testing, memang there will always be consumers, orang yang nak tahu, because we are forever surrounded kan, dengan a lot of things, so some exposure ke apa ke will bring about toxic effects, so it's a good like profession also, okay. So I think this one I have shown you in pharmacology previously, so you go through that, yeah. So ini macam stats lah, the types of toxicity or safety testing that you can do. I ada tunjukkan ni dulu, ingat lagi tak masa pharmaco? This was taken, yeah. So am I correct? Can you all remember? Have you seen this slide before? Dah 2 tahun dekat rumah, so tak perasan lah, yeah. Okay, so nanti you go through lah, but I think when we do toxicity testing, just now I also mentioned that we are going to look at dose, response, relationships. Yeah, okay. So that is the basics of what we do. Yeah, and then of course the toxic response tool will be depending on how much concentration at your target size. Yeah, itu memang directly related. Yeah. And then, of course, we want to identify the actual response that is caused by the toxicants itself. Yeah? So itu penting pada mula-mulanya. Let's say if you have a sample, you can actually extract, isolate betul-betul sebelum you test that substance yang kita dah extract. Yeah. So I hope you understand that. Okay. Alright. So here I can give you the classification lah ya. Okay, so cuba you tengok ni ya. Okay, so have a look through, have a look at this ya. What can be under type 1 and what can be under type 2 ya. Tolong bagi saya idea sikit, students. Any one of you? Apa agaknya jenis-jenis substance out there that can of course give you toxic effects, yeah. But type 1 ni macam very clear, yeah. But type 2 ni, at the same time, they are also giving you like beneficial effects. So what can they be? Can I ask you what can be examples of type 2? Siapa lah, yeah. You can chat also with me. Ada idea ke, brothers, sisters? Yes, very good. Yeah, vitamin ke, makanan ke, because you know kan pesan Nabi kita, anything yang over excess can give you like toxic effects lah. So it's always better to be moderate. Yeah, so vitamins, supplements, and even the simple things that we actually take in for nutritional and therapeutic effects. Okay, so maknanya the chemical substance out there, they can either fall under type 1 and type 2. Benda-benda yang macam memang clearly toxic, tak ada masalah, type 1 straight away. But there are some things that when we increase in dose, mula-mula, okay lah the vitamins will give you nutritional or therapeutic effects, medications, but I think you know when there is overdosage, it can turn into toxic and fatal punya effects. You faham ya? Okay, so that you must realize. Okay, so not benda-benda yang truly toxic saja yang can give you toxic effects, yeah, but also other things that you consume, you are exposed to, yeah. So take note of that. So yang ini I think you can understand lah ya, in terms of the increase of the dose of exposure ke or intake, what it can do to the body, yeah. Then this one I think you have gone through with me earlier lah, ya, masa mula-mula dulu ya. Okay, LD50, yang ini yang kadang-kadang some other researchers in other fields say that this is very cruel, yeah, but you can actually get a lot of information by doing LD50 tests, yeah. So okay, so maknanya akan guna, for instance, animal kan, ya. So we can get all this data, ya, age, root semua ni, ya. And then why LD50 testing is still being used is because not only macam we get info on bila 50% of the animals die ke, but we get all other things, ya. So we can do sampling of organs dalam badan dia, and then testing metabolic punya profiles, yeah. So it's actually a very useful type of testing, yeah. And then of course bila kita buat LD50 testing ni, kita macam dapat first estimation of hazard ni. Okay, so maknanya we can know whether the extracted sample is really dangerous or not, yeah. So that is why it's still very valuable and still being used with of course regulations and SOPs lah ya, under animal ethics. Okay, so kalau ada apa-apa nak tanya, you tanya ya. Okay, so I'm going to move on. Okay, so now since we are talking about in vivo, so let's look at animal toxicity punya test. Yeah? So of course, why we do on animals is because we are testing toxicants, kan? Kita expose them to toxicants. So we never do to humans, yeah. So banyak kali dah cakap ni, yeah. But results yang kita dapat tu, kita macam boleh buat andaian lah, ya, or prediction in humans. Yeah, so that is what we mean by extrapolation. Okay, so you can read further what it means by the lab test, yeah? Animal studies punya results being extrapolated to humans. Yeah, so that is why also it is allowed bila kita buat testing dalam animals, so we are able to use high doses so that nanti kita boleh capture data yang allow us to know the effects of high dose, yeah. So in animals lah. Tapi when let's say the substance ke, let's say if it's a medicine kan, dia pun akan masuk animal study juga. Remember under drug development, yeah. So medicine memang ultimately we want to use on humans, yeah. But dia kena lalu juga this animal testing. To see the early safety and toxicity punya data. Okay? Bila everything okay, then baru masuk clinical trials. Yeah? So in animal studies, boleh guna yang high dose, yeah, to capture lah semua possible data. Tapi bila dah okay semua and nak masuk clinical trials, we never use high doses for clinical trials. Clinical trials meaning testing on humans. Okay, testing on volunteers, testing on patients, yeah. So itu you tengok balik the drug development lectures masa pharmacology. Okay, so kalau let's say we use a high dose in animal testing, kalau masuk clinical trial tu we only use like 1/100 ke 1/10 of the dose. Dapat ke? Everybody, are you okay? Can you follow what I'm saying? Brothers, sisters? Okay, yeah? Okay, so take note of that, yeah? This is very important point, yeah? Okay, thank you. So the rest, I think I will ask you to go through lah, yeah? Okay, so yang ini berkenaan dengan, yang ini penting lah, ya? Because we want to know lah, ya, kalau kita expose to toxicants, macam mana kita boleh panjangkan umur kita, ya, reproduction, ya. So these are very important to us lah, ya, as humans, ya. Okay, so you have a look through, ya. So yang ini, so see here, kalau the type of assay kan, ya, kita buat in animals, ya, let's say 50%. We don't do lah, ya, in kalau humans ni, no, ya. So acute toxicity ni macam satu kali dosing, guna yang tinggi punya dose, straight away we see the effects whereby some of the animals might die ke. You don't do the same on humans lah, ya. But here kalau dah masuk macam epidemio punya study, so macam ada exposure ke, so I think you can have a look through lah, ya. Kalau later you having difficulties, you can also put your questions, ya, dalam Padlet ni. I will address and answer there for everyone to read. Yeah, and at the comment section, are you all able to actually put in your comments in the Padlet wall?
Yes, Doctor.
Brothers, yeah, boleh, yeah? Okay. So kalau you are doing your revisions, yeah, and you are not able to like message me direct, so put your questions in the comment section below the slide. Yeah. So saya memang akan selalu masuk ke Padlet wall. So when I see a question ke apa ke, I can jawab, and it will benefit every one of you, yeah, because every one of you can see the response, yeah. So do that, yeah. So yang selainnya ini macam Food Safety Council, yeah. So what sort of protocols that they follow, okay. So all these comes under toxicity testing lah, yeah. And then this is it, yeah. Okay. So this is the way forward, yeah. So kiranya now we are going to do more targeted type of toxicity testing. So ini sebenarnya saya ada paper yang I bagi baca nanti, ya. So it's part of the assignment also. So maknanya kita kan expose when we go out in the environment, and also what we take in, what we consume, we eat, we use, yeah, as products, yeah. So all that can actually give you toxic effects, yeah. So that is why dalam toxicity testing ni, so now we are going towards high throughput approaches, ya. Maknanya kita guna je apa-apa assays, ya. And then usually memang we look at or test a lot of substances lah. So that is the way forward in the 21st century lah, yeah. And we go deeper, yeah. So not only looking at dose response yang macam bagi dose and then tengok behavior animal ke apa ke, no longer masih dibuat, but we are going more towards macam tengok metabolic punya profiles, ya. Of responses at target tissues, yeah, responses of cells, yeah. So that is the way forward lah, yeah, for toxicity testing. Okay. So boleh, students? Are you alright? We are done with this. The 30 slides. So any questions up to here? You should be okay. Okay. So yang ini, the last slide ni nanti, you read here. So tak banyak pun the pages, ya, but this is our way forward lah, ya. So toxicologists and the researchers in fields, ya, like molecular semua ni, ya. So this is the way forward lah, whereby we will look at toxicity tests, ya. So how we have more advanced equipment, technology, ya, how we can do a more macam comprehensive toxicity, ya, but of course ini perlukan semua orang bekerjasama lah, ya. So not only in specific fields, ya. So what we would like to do is this lah, ya, macam characterization of the specific toxicants, ya. So this is what we are going towards lah, okay.